Hello, my name is Chad Chaddington, and welcome to Woodland & Co. Auditor Training. Today's topic is Granite construction, a case where the numbers looked strong, but very sus for real. At first glance, everything looked fire. Revenues were bussin', margins were mogging, and management looked locked in. And the auditors were probably like, bet, easiest busy season ever. Bruh, no, that engagement was cooked. This case is proof that fraud doesn't always pull up in a ski mask. Sometimes it pulls up in a conference room with management saying, let's just give these estimates a better vibe. Granite basically catfished investors. The projects look profitable, but mentally, financially, spiritually, they were down bad.
Granite used the percentage of completion method for long-term contracts. Revenue equals price times costs incurred divided by expected cost. Basically, the more complete the project looks, the more revenue they can recognize. Simple, dangerous, and high-key toxic. So revenue isn't based on cash, it's based on estimates. Yes, estimates. Basically, that's where fraud loves to spawn in. The key estimate is total expected cost. How much will this whole project actually cost? If management says costs are lower, the project looks chill. And suddenly, revenue starts revenue maxing. Like suspiciously maxing. Like this is low-key sus maxing. They treated cost estimates with, that's a future me problem energy.
My name's Owen, and this is my Gen Z consultation, Jack. Granite Construction Management said I can fix her, so they started understating expected costs. The internal reports were literally screaming,
Bruh, these skibbity costs are getting high.
but they just kept pushing those cost increases back, so revenue and profit margins could keep pretending everything was all Gucci. The profit margins they were using had absolutely no support.
Type shit.
And in some cases, they made two versions of reports. One had the real numbers that showed high costs. The other one was straight up fraud.
No cap.
One version showed reality, while the other one was fantasy.
Type shit.
These internal controls were totally beta. Management insisted the numbers are clean behavior. The SEC was extremely sus. It's like having two report cards, one for your parents and one that gives off negative aura.
Now that's an L for real.
Management was getting pressed, investors wanted stronger numbers, executives kept promising better margins, no one was serving. And while this was happening, bonuses were on the line, which is basically how fully grown adults start yeeting their accountability. And at the same time, projects were getting more expensive, costs were rising, and actual performance was mid, actually below mid. If they recorded those higher costs, revenue drops, margins fall, and suddenly Stacy can't buy her third boat. Nothing inspires creative accounting like realizing your bonus might disappear. Suddenly, everybody becomes Picasso. Financial statements become more like abstract art. It's giving gaslight. So, instead of fixing operations, they just fixed their estimates, and for a while, it did work, which is low-key terrifying and high-key illegal.
Eventually, reality did what reality always does. It pulled up. Uninvited, actual costs came in, and suddenly, the math stopped being negotiable. No more vibes, bro. Only the consequences. The real costs exposed the earlier estimates. Granite had overstated revenue by tens of millions of dollars. This was a massive L. Very massive Hall of Fame L. They had to restate financial statements. Investors' confidence crashed, and the stock price absolutely ate concrete. In accounting terms, that's what we call big yikes. You can delay fraud, but eventually it always comes up. Like checking your bank statement after saying you'll treat yourself 17 times.
The auditors checked the calculations. The formulas worked. schedules tied, the spreadsheets were lit. They understood the assignment. Unfortunately, it was the wrong assignment.
Type shit.
They didn't challenge management's assumptions. They accepted accounts like estimated costs without making sure the estimates made sense. And that's where the audit failed.
Type shit.
In estimate-based accounting, the assumptions are just as important as the math. The auditors checked the vibe, and unfortunately, the vibe was fraudulent.
Negative aura type shit.
As auditors, we basically have one job, and that is to keep asking questions until management starts looking a little sus. More formally, that's called professional skepticism. You should always question management estimates, not because management is always capping, they usually are, but because pressure makes people start acting extra, and sometimes way too confident for absolutely no reason. Focus especially on estimates and forecasts. That's where fraud likes to live rent free. If operations are struggling, but reported performance is improving, that is a red flag. A red flag that's impossible to ignore. And if management ever says, trust me, bro, that is not on evidence. That is your cue to lock in immediately.
The Granite case proves that fraud rarely looks obvious. It doesn't pull up like it's finna get you shook. It looks polished. It looks bougie. It looks like a guy in loafers with elite clout. But somehow, that should already give you the ick. Sometimes, it even looks perfect. Like, wow, he's got ultimate riz. But plot twist, nah bro, stop the cap. Your job as an auditor is not just to verify numbers. It's to clap back at bad assumptions, professionally and with documentation. So when things look a little too perfect, they're a little too gassed up, don't sleep on it, fam. Ask those questions, take the W, and stay blessed.